Hello everybody and welcome to something a little bit different today. Today we're looking at the feasibility study of assignment 2 and we're looking at generating a cost benefit analysis. Some people have seen an in-class activity where we've covered this, but for the benefit of those that don't or haven't want to recap, it's here. We need to create an answer to the question, can your game make money? And to do that we need to work out what's going to cost us money and how we're going to generate money. And that's all going to be based off of your market research. You will have said in task 1 how your game compares against other games currently or previously on the market and how much money they made. So let's go and put that into a spreadsheet and see how much money we can make. The end of the PowerPoint presentation that accompanies assignment 2 has these two slides at the end. The costs we intend to simulate, just as a recap for the benefit of those that don't know, to rent Coombswood costs £8,000 a year, but we don't need it for a whole year, we only need it for 12 weeks. Software purchases such as Unity, 3ds Max, Photoshop, music licenses, assets you wish to buy or could conceivably buy from the asset store. Equipment cost £1,000 per computer and £299 for a Quest 2. You could of course go up to the £500 mark if you insisted on a Quest 3, but I don't think that's necessary. Remember the consultant, me, the teacher, me and Richie Johnson, we cost you £50 a question during the development stages of your project. That includes any question at all. You need to log that cost, so we need to plan for that. And then ultimately paying yourself. You are the lead developer, you need paying, and I reckon you're worth about £35,000 a year. We also then need to factor in distribution costs, which for Steam is 30% of each sale, there or thereabouts. And then ultimately we need to market it, and then we need to think about how we can get that into the hands of our customers. So, let's go and make this happen. I'm going to create a blank workbook in Microsoft Excel. I'm going to zoom in, and we're going to break this into two primary columns, profit and loss. We're going to start our cost benefit analysis by thinking how we're going to make some profit. Let's go and do that first. So we need to think about our number of predicted sales. And again, if you're uninitiated with Excel, if you've got text that goes over the bar, just resize it like that by clicking the edge of the cell and dragging it across. So we need to think about the number of sales we think we're going to make. This must be based on your market research. The high grade, the distinction criteria, comes from evidencing that you've got a good business case. So where is this number coming from? I would want to read that in your market research. Where is this number coming from? So let's say predicted sales of a number. I'm going to stick with easy numbers today. Let's go with 1,000 copies, which is probably on the low estimate, but let's go with 1,000. We can always change it later. We then need to think about cost for our game. You could call that whatever you like. I'm calling it sale cost per unit. Again, this has to be based on your market research. Remember that VR games always have a different price to the contemporary flat screen AAA experiences. A Call of Duty or an Assassin's Creed might be going for 50, 60, 70 quid. A comparable VR experience will not be going for that price. Your job is to find out the difference and factor that in. I'm going to choose $8.99 for my game, but remember that will just display 8.99. We need to convert that into currency by choosing currency from the drop down up here. That puts the pound symbol on and adds any decimal places that we might need. This is not complete, but all I'm going to do is do total sales under here, which will be equal to, by pressing the equal sign, we're doing some maths in the cell, this number times by this number, and press enter. If you get a bunch of hashes that display like that, that's Excel warning you that the information in this cell can't be displayed in the cell size that is available. So we just need to make the cell a little bit bigger in order to fit our numbers in. So already, okay, we're making 9,000 quid. Brilliant. Let's think about how we're going to be losing money. What you'll notice I'm going to do here is demonstrate this in a couple of different ways. You can interpret this however you like. Ways we're going to be spending money. Our, staff costs. You are the staff cost you will be spending money on. So let's think about how much you are worth. You are worth £35,000 a year, I would wager. So we could just leave that there and press enter. Remember as well, we don't want that as a number, we would like that in currency. Problem is, £35,000 is not how much you're going to get paid from this games company, because you're only going to be working for 12 weeks. So I'm going to create some cells at the top, somewhere up here, doesn't really matter where. Just something like that. The development time in weeks, and I'm going to make that a little bit larger, and obviously the development time in weeks is 12. There are 12 weeks. So what we can now do with this bit of maths here, clicking into the cell up the top here, we've got our equals 35,000. If we divide that by 52 weeks in the year, and then we times that using the star symbol by the number of weeks we're developing for, we can now see that we are spending £8,000 on staff costs alone. Suddenly our predicted sales doesn't look like it's going to make the difference up. Let's carry on going. Hardware. Hardware cost, we would need to be specific, so let's go with the PC cost to start off with. Well, we know that's £1,000. I'm going to convert that to pounds. Hardware for the headset. And again, that's 299, there or thereabout. Your job is to put accurate values in, of course. So already we've got some values down here, and we're going to keep going. As you can see, your job is to factor in all of these considerations. Currently we've factored in equipment cost, we've currently factored in staff cost, we haven't yet factored in facility cost, so let's go do that one now. Again, we know that that is equal to £8,000 a year, divided by 52 weeks of the year, times by however long we're developing for. I could have just typed 12 in there, but let me show you why this is desirable. I'm going to make sure that's set to currency. The reason why this is desirable is if we have to plan a contingency plan, which is a part of the feasibility study. If you needed to plan for contingencies, well, what happens if the project takes an extra week longer? You can now see those values update, and you can now plan for those changes. If it takes significantly longer than 12 weeks, we can see that change. If it takes significantly less, we can see that change. So it's nice to have a separate cell up there for the number of weeks and other key absolute values. So we've got some numbers in here, and obviously we're not done. We need to factor in other ways we're going to be losing money. The distribution cost, 30% of each unit sold, we need to subtract. We also need to factor in tax as well. So let's do distribution. Distribution, I've probably misspelled that. Steam's cost, which will be equal to our total number of sales, and now we need to work out 30% of that. There are a bunch of ways of doing this. If you think back to GCSE maths, you'd have probably worked out 10% of something and times it by 30, but the computer can obviously do maths for us. If I want 30% of something, I can times it by 0.3, which will give you 30% of that original value. Remember, if you times anything by 1, it's the same size. Times it by 2, it's doubled. Times it by 0.5, it's half. Times by 0.3 will give you 30%. So that is how much steam is going to be taking of our total cut so far. Again, if we were to modify our predicted sales to, let's say now there's 5,000, our total sales will update, which will also update the steam distribution cost accordingly, because it's looking it up. So we've got a bunch of costs in here. We also need to plan for marketing, which will be an eye-watering sum of money. I've got some examples on here, but you can also have a conversation with your lecturer about your digital marketing unit, once teaching you social media and digital marketing, how much things may cost to distribute. Remember, you are not getting paid to put adverts in. This is the other way around. You are paying for someone to have adverts, either to put it on the side of a bus shelter, to put this on TV, to put this on YouTube, or whatever. As a rough rule of thumb, cost per view to get an ad on YouTube is somewhere between 10 and 23 pence, which means the average cost of reaching 100,000 people is approximately £15,000. Approximately. Of course, that number is very, very different. So we need to think about how we're going to do that. If you want to keep it simple, you can just say whatever your development cost is, find out 50% of that, and you can't go far wrong with that value. So we've currently got all of these values, which I could add together. That, add that, add that, add that, add that, will give me a number. Currently we're at £24,000. If I were to take all of these numbers and get 50% of it, i.e. times it by 0.5, it's worth remembering BOD mass or bid mass or whatever it's called nowadays. We would need to put in brackets all of these additions, because I want to add all of these things up first, and then I would like to times the resulting value by 0.5. That will give me 50% of all of my costs so far. So now we're going to use AutoSum to select all of these, plus a space at the bottom, and AutoSum can be found up here, looks like an E. So we are currently at a total cost of £37,000. But currently our predicted sales, we're going to make this much money, there or thereabouts. There's currently a bunch of stuff that's missing, but I'm just going to put somewhere in our cost benefit analysis something like profit slash loss equals to the amount of money I plan to make minus the amount of money I expect to lose will equal our overall profit or loss. If you want to be really posh about this, colour code stuff so it looks nice. If you want to be really, really posh about it, you can use conditional formatting. Conditional formatting will change the colour of something when a condition is true. It ties in with an if statement. So I'm going to create a new rule really quickly, and all I'm going to say here, if, based on their values, cells that contain, so format only cells that contain, I've currently got this selected. If the cell value is greater than 0, I want to set it to have a green background. I want it to fill it green. Job done. I also want an additional rule, so let's press OK. So it's green because it's above 0. Let's add a new bit of conditional formatting. I'm going to add a new rule. Same rules, format only cells that contain. If the cell is less than or equal to 0, we're going to format it to be red. Okay, obviously nothing will change because we're making a profit, but if our predicted sales were to go down, now that's gone into a minus value and it's gone red to highlight that there's an issue there. Really, really powerful tool. I love spreadsheets. So you need to make sure that your numbers make sense comparative to your cost benefit analysis, and we also need to make sure we've included everything we wanted to include. We've got staff costs, hardware, headsets, facility costs, Steam, marketing. All of this will be different to each project because you'll all have different values. You also need to keep in mind taxman. Dependent of course of how you're going to work out your total for tax, all I'm going to do here is do equals our total sales we intend to make, and we need to get 20%. So again, same rules as before, times by 0.2, that will give us 20%. And we can factor again into our total cost. By clicking that, we can extend the range, so it now includes our tax, and we can see that we've now lost £52,000 in costs. If you want to make it look really, really posh, I like borders. I'm going to put a border in. That looks nice. I'm going to put a border in over here. That looks nice. I'm going to select these and I'm going to merge the cells as well, so it looks really nice. If you want to really impress people, let's insert some stuff, select some cells, merge them together, and let's say cost benefit document, cost benefit analysis for the game called whatever your game is called. Hopefully your name is better than that for your game. You can of course move these cells around. I've currently got this which is just loose. I can select those and move them wherever I want. Maybe I want to put them down there. It will automatically update all the cell references and whatnot. This is not perfect, but this is a good starting point for you creating your cost benefit analysis and being able to answer the question, is your project feasible, by knowing whether you're going to make money or not. Thank you very much.